Hey, welcome back to another episode of Cleflin Nights. Yes, we're spending a little bit more time in Cleflin Nights this week. This is for the gaming that have happened since or around the 21st of February, that week of 2017. Well, we last left our heroes in Cleflin, day 2. Ray was down in Mifflin, actually, in the realm of Cleflin without a D. And he was down in Mifflin, and it was way back in time, but I wanted to see if Ray, what he was going to do during this time before he knocks unconscious and wakes up. And well, while it's still night, he makes his way to the Tower of Science. I think we went over that a little bit last week. He gets into the Tower of Science, makes it to the 33rd floor, which was previously built by an alternate version of him called Roger Moore. And he finds out that the computer systems there don't have a designated profile intelligence sort of thing, and he has developed that. So he does that a little bit. He gets himself a some suit and a super unstable molecule suit, 2.0, which has been developed a little bit more powerful than the typical one, and kind of based off the Forge's version from Earth 213, because we know Roger would have had more implanted in the some suits that he created. So boom, he gets his some suit, and he talking to the computer, gives it personality, and begins to call it Dawn. And Dawn, we use she because it's not Dawn. He asks her questions, and he finds out that the dimensional door that would normally go to Earth 201 or Earth 1, Luna, or any other Luna, for a matter of fact, has been cut off from reaching outside of the realm of Cleflin. There's a lot of dimensional stoppage, if you will, to Cleflin to get out of there. But he says, well, can you go to other dimensional doors? In which there is another dimensional door as he tracks them down, and that she can connect to in Cleflin. And actually right there in America, across the street, is a bar called O'Malley's. And in O'Malley's is this dimensional door. It looks like a mirror to the passing people, but it allows him to instantly go. This is something I previously created, and the characters never even knew about. But since he asked, bam. So he uses that to go. But she warns him, once he goes through, it's hours later in the day where everybody else is at gaming around noontime, 11 of day 2, and he is 4:30 in the morning. So he's like, okay, yeah. And when he comes out, he sees his buddy Joel of friends for decades, and actually gaming with both of them as Ray and Joel in Cleflin has not happened in decades. It's amazing just for me to play it again. It's wow, the gang's all here. It's new, and it's old, so they're reunited for the first time. Anyways, Joel is surrounded by he had just left Ray's rock house after eating there with his 5 reds. Yes, 5 reds. And there's more information to be found about those on a previous story I may relate to if somebody wishes to ask in comments. But to move along, he's got 5 reds, and they're called. He named them because you name reds. Reds don't normally have a name, and they get their name from their owner, or not owner, but the first people that meet give them a name. They know who they are, but as far as communicating with people, so Joel. And it was Joel. Well, this isn't really Joel. Joel here is going by Chris Masters, not Christopher Lord, which I wish he would. But hey, he doesn't have to do that. So he's going by Chris Masters, who's different than Christopher Lord. Chris Masters named these ladies, and they're Reds, and they're an alien race. The five of them: Rook. I'm trying to show my finger here. I'm holding a finger up, and you guys can't see it. Rook, Siren, Queen, Blade, and Guard. I don't know why. I mean, we used to play around Red Sun, and back in the 80s when I played, it was Red Sun. And then Red Leaf in the early 2000s, Ray had played around a Red Leaf. Well, now, they're usually subjects, not persons' names. Like, they're usually things that they first see. And in this case, this is what Joel names them. So, anyways, well, Chris Masters and Ray in Golden as he's starting to go by, and I don't know if it's ING or ENG, but we'll figure that out later. They talk, and it's a lot of talking back and forth. We really can't go over all of that. But he says, "Hey, I got this Red here who is injured, and I want, can you do something about that to fix her?" He's like, "Yeah, because I was at the Tower of Science in Roger Moore's old domain, and sure." So Red Siren is injured, and Ray's taking her back there. When he goes back, he also gets a swimsuit for her, not for her, but for Joel. Actually, I think he took a swimsuit with him the first time he comes back, gives it to Joel, and a 2.0. But he gets a bunch of 1.5 versions where just kind of like a Sumbo suit, which Laura had created back in the 90s. But 1.5s, it's a swimsuit that can create metal or metal-ish, and not like adamantium or anything, but it can create different versions of metal. Anyways, he gives it to each of the Reds, and then they come out. Ray only finds that this dimensional door that's in O'Malley's that can go to Tower of Science, that it's tuned into his suit, and he would have to get when Red Siren goes through, he has to actually put some of his suit on her so that she's in tune, and that allows the frequency or whatever of the suit and allows her to go through to get healed. So she gets healed and they come back. They make their way down to the Theater of War. See, what they're trying to do is to earn money. And because they don't want to go the Falcon route that they did the previous 50, 60 years ago in this Cleflin that their alternate selves did. They're trying to go with a different route. And so this is their route. And they think that they can entering these Reds into some competition at the Theater of War, they can earn some money. On the way there, though, they meet some city guards who happen to mention that there are other red-haired women that are competing in these competitions and are being killed, as well as they mention that several women had committed suicide, red-haired women. When Ray and Christopher Masters, I need to use that, Christopher Masters make it to the Theater of War, they find out that there is even a bounty on red-haired women in the city, placed on them by Commodore Hal. Hal is looking for bounty hunters to do this. Hal is a Time Lord who is in control of most of the marketplaces in each of the cities. He's kind of like a mob boss, whatever. But he's English, and he goes. This one goes by Commodore Hal. The Commodore. This is just stuff I made up. Anyway, go figure. And so he's got a bounty on these Reds because of last night. Chris Masters' Reds, it killed a bunch of his people, and he's like, revenge, baby. So this is how he can do it, because, hey, sooner or later I'll get to the ones I wanted. Little does he know that entering into the matches at the Theater of War is run by Ryzen. Ryzen is a like a lizard man. He's really fat, and he's you enter in gladiatorial competitions. He's got what is it? Hester is his gambling man, his bookie or whatever, and everybody goes gambles on these people. All morning, red-haired women have been entered into these fights, and they're getting slaughtered, sadly. And it's Hal, he just wants to find the ones that had killed a lot of his people. Oh, okay. So Ray just texted me, and he says it's Ray ENG in Golden that he's going by here in Clefland without a D. So cool. We found that out. Next, so they go. So they enter. Actually, I think it was Blake, Red Blade, and Red Guard into this fight. And Ray texts me again. What does this one say? I'm sorry, guys. Just because I might have game-related news. Oh, in Golden is the Navigator, the one and only. So that's what he says. And that's on Earth 6. So ING is his real self, his main self that actually was living here years ago. But ENG is this guy. So hey, here you go. There's a little bit of playing with everybody while everything's happening. Anyways, so Blade and Guard get into the fight. They're entered in. So they wait around, and it turns out that they're fighting two pirate guys. Yeah, some of the local sailors are entered into this competition to get money until they go do their next fight or whatever they're going to do. And one of them is called Getty, and the other one's called Balthasar. I'm sorry if there's any Balthasar Getty friends, but that's what I thought of at the time when I'm role-playing these two guys. I kind of created the characters, but I didn't really have names. So these two guys, they get in the fight with these two Reds, and the Reds, with their 1.5 some suits, creating metal weapons, just destroy these guys. They beat them like it's nothing. And now Commodore Hal is like, these are the Reds I'm looking for. Not the droids, the Reds. And so before the match, Ray and Golden and Chris Masters place a lot of money. They bet a lot of money on these girls, and they win because a lot of people are thinking that, oh well, red-haired girls have been dying all day. These two Reds get in this fight. Oh, these two, even though they're scantily clad and ready for this fight, the bets don't change, and they make a lot. So they make a lot of money. They can take that and to rebet in the later fights, because all of their Reds have gotten entered into fights for later in the day. And there's the hour concession break at lunch, so that people will leave the theater of war and go partake in the local stuff. Oh, also that they find out that the two red-haired girls that committed suicide, Ray and Chris Masters, find out that these two are not one of their Reds, which makes it feel better, because two of Chris Masters' 7 Reds have left him. They disagreed with something, and they splintered out, and they're out roaming either the hinterlands or in Clefland, unknown at this time. And so he was hoping it wasn't them. Anyways, so the girls win, and the guys get a lot of money. Also, going on at the same time in this city is the Blood Brothers. The Blood Brothers is another storyline we're going, and it's so that most of my players can play at the same time. And I hope that they do this. They seem to like it so far. At least Ray, Joel, and Alex, Chris like it. So, and Frank hasn't got to play it yet. But anyways, so when we last left our heroes, they were still waiting in Ron's, having conversations. Ron Reagan's house over in Old Clefland. And Hans and you were there, and they had for a moment uh, Chris's other self there, which was Sam, Sam Knoxville. But now Sam and disappears and appears as Brandon. So Brandon's back, and you and Hans, and Reagan shows back up, and he gives the promised suits to Brandon and Hans. Oh, before Reagan shows up, I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of stuff out of order, but there's a lot of stuff happened, and we just played constantly. It was great gaming, not a lot of joking around, just constant playing. Hans and you had met temporarily George Washington. Yeah, George Washington's in the city, and he has a job too. And he's usually like a scout for caravans that are going from either north, south, east, or west. And he's out there to protect them, and that's his adventuring thing. Not no general or president. He's just this Time Lord, 20-year-old, well, 20-year-old physically, red haired and everything. Well, anyways, they talked to him and said that he's getting ready to go on this trip today, and that he wanted to let Ron know to watch things for him, what's going on, because they kind of care for old Cleflin's side. And they said, well, Ron's going to be back, but George's got to go. He's got to catch this caravan. So then Ron shows up. They tell him, hey, yeah, and Ron says, hey, I talked to George. He says he's willing to hire you guys if you hurry up and get there to this caravan. And that's what they do. So they, Brandon and you get the two suits that they were promised by Ron. With you and Tote, they take off running to get to the north side of Cleflin to get to this caravan that's taken off. Little do they know that we last left Alex out by the north side, and he went down towards the stables. Now, the stables is an area of Cleflin where many of the livestock are being held during the night, because they can't leave the livestock out of the city at night in barns or anything, or fences, because things will eat them out there. They bring them all in the evening, and in the morning they head back out again and do trips like what they're about to do, because there's nobody really made this place safe except for the city. They try to keep it somewhat safe, and there's still bad things happen, but nonetheless. So Alex was up there with his sidekick May, little Chinese girl, and he's like, well, we need money for food, etc. Let's go get a job. Yeah, this is, a version of adventuring where you're not out in the wilderness, but you're in a city, and you don't actually have the resources to do what you want to do. I don't have a base of operations just given to me by Tony Stark or whatever. So they have to start building this. This is where they start building their own scenarios, their own life, and we'll see how things go. So Alex and May go to the stables, and they see that people that are wanted to protect caravans as well. So you can see the storylines are coalescing here, and I didn't know it was going to, but it happens. So he bids on George Washington's caravan, and he's part of their group, and they see that he has power, so he's worth a little bit more to them, and they don't know about his little Chinese girl, if she'll be worth anything, but they think he's got powers. He's like a mage or something. We're hiring him, taking him out there on this trip. So he goes out the north gate and quickly meets with the caravan, where the three, where Brandon, you, and Hans have to run across town. While they're doing that, Chris, who was previously unconscious, wakes up. Chris Ritz wakes up in Ray's rock house, 80s music blaring, and oh, what was here? I put here. He didn't remember that Ray from last week had put him there because he was falling unconscious. See, that's the difference about Cleflin. When other players aren't around, their bodies fall unconscious, and hopefully somebody takes care of them. If not, then anyways. So, and that's something we had been doing 25 years ago. Ray was around Russ once, and Russ wasn't there to game, and his character Tereos fell on the unconscious. So Ray's like, take you to Ray's rock house, put you there because it's always safe in Ray's. Why? And oh, the gamers actually know. It's kind of a peaceful place, and sanctuary. So they then, anyways, Chris wakes up realizing, oh man, I must not have been playing, other people were around. So he takes his body, heads out of town, and he eventually goes to find what's his name? Oh, Manfred Richenfeld, whatever, the Red Baron. He goes to find Manfred, and Manfred runs the docks, and because all these TLs want money or want to be a part of this city. They want to live here. So, and he wanted to work with Chris for a while because he knows Chris is a time spot, another thing a time lord. And if he can control time, man, he can move a lot of stuff in this on the dock. So, dock on the bay, dock on a river. And so Chris heads down there and he talks him into, show him. So Chris, and it helps Chris learn to control his powers by spending several hours, his time, moving dock crates and food and stuff from docks to the ships and ships to the docks and to the other. There's a floating ship that will head back to Mifflin probably at night. And then there's an actual seagoing ship that will head down to Davenport. And so with all that going on, so Chris works for Manfred. Spends most of that game, trying to game that out. And as that gaming is going, while Hans and Brandon and you are running up there, Brandon and you get pulled back into the Bloodstone and pops out Sam. So now, and Hans gives him the quick brief, hey, we're running up here, we gotta hurry. So Sam's running up there with him, and they get up to the Northern Caravan where they join up with George, who's already there on his high horse, and it's kind of leading this band of people to protect this 5 wagon caravan to going up to Melintis. Eventually, Melintis is an elvish city on the edge of the elvish realm, and so far north. But they're going to at least take it until they can. Hello? My wife's coming in. Pause. Let's go. My wife just delivered food while I was recording this. Awesome. So, man, delicious. All right. So, I'm going to have to push these 2 videos together. I haven't done that yet, but we'll see how it goes. The Blood Brothers. So, Sam shows up, and then they get to Washington's troop, and they quickly find out that Alex is lying there on the ground because he isn't around to play, and life goes on. So Sam and Hans tie up Alex to a chair on this wagon, and May is staying close to him, keeping him in sights, but they're like, wagon's got to go. Show must go on. So the wagons head up and start heading out away from the city. And Sam climbs up on there's five of them, and they climb up on the middle wagon that's heading north, and the come up there, and they're up there with an elf girl, and she's kind of like an archer type, and Hans is floating on alongside, trying to get used to his gravity powers, and he's getting much better at changing gravity and being able to balance. And Sam starts to have a conversation with her, and her name was, gosh, I can't remember what it was, but I'll tell you later because she'll probably be a bigger character as things go. And gosh, I did have her name. Anyways. So, caravan heads north. That'll be continued next time. And now we go to Cleflin with a D. Day 2, where we last left our heroes. Well, what I'm trying to do here in Cleflin with a D, I'm trying to get other second gens caught up with the other second gens that we've been playing in the previous weeks. Mostly because Frank wasn't around this evening, and I just want to get that moving then, because the groups that are with Frank or Ray, I'll play them when we get to play them. Whew. This mustard's got jalapeno in it, and it's really hot. It's really good. So, first off, I go over with Alex a little bit of Chris Prentice. Chris Prentice is still in Aslam. You might remember that he did a short 6-month jaunt to an alternate reality and came back. And he's still staying down in Aslam with the House of Jones family. Staying with them until lunch. What I went over with Christopher Prentice is, and he is the scion of the Marquis, of stuff that happened to him while he was gone for 6 months, and how he's, and he couldn't use his power, so but he learned other things while he was there. We went over that. Also went up to New Asgard, where we got to play James Lord, the son of Thor, and also Thor Lord. And what they did there, James Lord got to know a lot more people in New Asgard, in the city of. He's mingling with a lot of the women, and considering he's been away from anybody that he hasn't been grown up with all his life, now on Red World, here he is meeting just all these people. So he's getting to know them all, knowing that, hey, my dad is Lord of New Asgard, and I should get to know some of the people. So, and that's what he's doing. He's getting amongst them, but mostly around a lot of the women, showing them, and there's giving them a lot of food, making food with them, going through their daily routines, and basically a lot of New Asgardian people, they work all day for all the partying that they're going to do that night in the longhouse. It's not Viking culture, but there are similarities. But these people are different, and Thor, for what he does, him and Holly, they head back to the castle that is right there at Bifrost, and he scopes out the castle, and Holly and him, and they talk about things of what they want to do. Not much really gets done with them. Just talk about the situation and what they want to do in the future, how things are going. And I think he wants to make her a TL because he's a TL. And but they realize that they have to go clear back to Hastings to get to a time spot. A little journey there. So, speaking of Hastings, where we last left our heroes there, Jonathan Morse Prentice, one of the Martian Elvish, half Martian, half Elvish, or Elvish Martian, or Martian Elvish, Jonathan Prentice, and Mara Lord are hanging out in Hastings, and I think they head back to the castle, do some hanging out there where they're making out because they're a couple now, and they're both old enough to do things on their own. They're 16 or 17, and it gives them freedom to do what they want, and so they're going to start becoming more free. And she really wants to, get married to this guy, and that's what he wants too. So that little relationship gets played off, and then they also head back into, because he kind of promises her, I'm going to get your ring. And so they head back into Hastings, the city of Hastings, and in the marketplace there is they're looking at gems and jewelry and stuff. Count Marcus is also there, and he's been going around trying to meet a lot of the leaders of the city. And say, hey, what's going on? I want to be familiar with you guys, because that's a good thing that you do you're the ruler. Well, while all this is going on, some thief grabs a necklace, and he takes off with it, and is unfortunately, he doesn't know that Marcus, for one, is there, and the two Mara and Jonathan. Well, Jonathan, shoots it on one of his little TK arrows into the back of this guy, knocking him down, and Mara gets over there. Count Marcus possesses somebody and then appears out there in front of this thief. Well, anyways, jumping into the mind, Marcus jumps into his mind and goes through his memories and realizes this guy's just been paid to do this. And he's finding out by one of the Howls, and this is, like Captain Howl. They each go by different ranks. Because this necklace, as he finds out, the three of them, taking this necklace, they go to Baxter's. Baxter's is the watering hole the main watering hole for the Hastings, and like Ray's Rock House is, or for Cleflin, and Blackjack's Tavern is for Mifflin. Anyways, at Baxter's, there's the knowing, and his name is Dulaine, and Count Marcus talks to him and asks what's this thing, and it's an amulet that helps protect people when they wear it from the power of royals. Now, see, the Cleflanders, the people of Clefland, or Clefland, automatically have fealty to royals in this world. It's a little different because none of the normal people, the feudal folk, if you will attack their lord. They'll just, whatever you say, sir, what is the common phrase? I humbly do whatever you ask, sir. It's as you wish, sort of thing. And so this necklace will give them the ability to resist that. But Hal, even though he is a TL, and people that come from off-world don't have to follow these royals, he's finding out there's a lot of royals around here. I used to be in charge. I still want to be in charge, but maybe if I had a few people that could resist that automatic control. These guys, the royals are expected to be benevolent, but they don't have to be. That's something that people don't understand. So, he goes into a little bit of investigation. At the same time, we last left Tempest Lord. Tempest Lord goes about talking to the Navy, the boatmasters here. Finds out about them, and they say, "Oh yeah, we'll serve you, Lord, whatever you wish of us." He will make some boats. I need you guys to make some more boats because I want a navy. I want people to go out and keep the waters safe. And speaking of that, so he dives down and he finds out that yes, some of their Hastings shipping has gone down to Marrakesh. So he's like, "Oh, I'm going to swim down there." So there's a long way away, but he takes off out of the Bay of Hastings. While he's swimming down at the bottom, and I'm describing what stuff that he sees, he finds that there's spikes at the entrance of the bay, and these spikes that stick out of the bottom of the ground. They don't hit to the ocean. I mean, to the bay surface, but they stick down there. And what he thinks might be some sort of wall or protective barrier to the bay. He's wondering about them. It's like, what's this all about? That's pretty cool. That there's something down here that might be able to be activated by the Count. So there's so much more to the Count and to to the city of Hastings that a lot of these royals don't know about. And as the characters are being played, maybe they'll find out about it. They may never do. That's why I want them to play it, because I just don't want to hand feed all these. Oh, well, sooner or later you would figure this out. Maybe not. So, anyways, Tempest finds that out. He heads up beyond the bay, and he quickly finds some shipwrecks at the bottom of the water. Exploring them, he finds, and because he's an Asgardian, but he also has like water elemental powers, and as he's exploring there in the water, he finds some treasure. It's like cool, and he's looking for some magical stuff. Takes his treasure case though up to the surface, up to his, he takes it up to his brother's castle, and I believe that's where we left everybody off. So, hey, great joining us. Sorry for the little interruptions. I got some food, and I need that to survive. Great food. And catch us next week as we find out new things that are going to happen. Good night.